What is up, everybody? So I actually just made a video on the iPhone 5 and how that iPhone pretty much lived its best life. It started off in a decent spot. It didn't suck, didn't have any catastrophic failures, and when it ended its life, it pretty much ended on a very good note. iOS 10.3.3 was solid. It didn't have any hardware failures that made this phone completely unusable. In fact, I still have a iPhone 5 that works perfectly fine. I think there's a little bit of an issue with it, but it's completely my fault. I did drop it a while ago. But when I think of the opposite of this, right, of iPhone that lived its worst life, a few iPhones do kind of ring in my head. The iPhone 5C was probably the worst iPhone ever made. The iPhone 7 was very underrated and it kind of had a bad impact, but it didn't have any catastrophic failures. But one of those iPhones that really ring out, and it probably is no secret to you, is the iPhone 6 Plus. Now, a little bit of a background story. I actually had this phone as a daily driver for almost a year, and I actually went from a white iPhone 6 Plus to a black iPhone 6 Plus, and I'm glad I made that switch. The space gray versions look so much better. But if you think about it, the iPhone 6 Plus isn't even polarizing. Really, it just wasn't a good phone. I like the design at the time. It really kind of brought, the bigger version, a plus version of the phone, and I was very optimistic of it, and I had it and all that stuff. And even though my specific iPhone never had any of the problems that were kind of represented in the media and everything, I can't really help to see how prevalent this issue is, and I'm so glad they fixed it with the 6S Plus and onwards. But the iPhone 6 Plus definitely lived its worst life, and the main reason of this would definitely be Bendgate. And what this was, if you guys don't know, it was pretty much iPhone 6 Pluses and the iPhone 6 as well, but it was mostly the 6 Plus. It was bending very, very easily under normal pressure, and from there the phone would break, internal chips would be messed up, and the screen most likely would have touch disease or wouldn't work properly. And I guess at a time Apple wasn't fixing this, but then they were, and pretty much even if they were fixing it, whatever, they released a product that they knew. Now we actually have evidence, and there was proof recently that Apple knew that this phone did bend easier under pressure than normal phones. And some people have tried to claim that, oh, that's a mishap, whatever, but still it's kind of a big deal that they knew about it. Now, going one step further, tons and millions of units of these were sold. The 6 Plus is one of the most sold iPhones ever, and one of the most sold phones in general, and for a good reason. It brought a whole new redesign and everything, but the Bendgate issue was such a horrible thing that even if you bought this phone used now, there would really be no point, because it's not a software that's the problem, it's the hardware that is the problem, and you can't fix a hardware like that. Now, that is one issue. The whole other issue, in my opinion, is that the iPhone 6 Plus is severely underpowered for what it should have been. If you compare the 6 Plus to the 6S Plus, like I've already done, I've already made a whole separate video about it, there's no competition. The iPhone 6S Plus is far, far much better than the iPhone 6 Plus. And even if it's between the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 6 Plus, there really isn't too much difference between the two, if I'm being completely honest. Which really does suck, because I had the iPhone 6 Plus and I wished it was faster. I could probably still use it, but I wouldn't enjoy it. There's a lot of features that's missing, like Force Touch and everything. And I would say, even though I love a bigger phone, the iPhone 6 would be a much better choice than the iPhone 6 Plus, because it doesn't bend as easily. Even though they're made out of the same stuff, I do believe that because it is a smaller phone, you have less chance of bending it versus a bigger phone. Now, if you do put your iPhone 6 Plus in a case, it will be perfectly fine, but you don't want to be just stuck, worried about a phone that's going to be bending and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of people did. A lot of people made this phone. After this phone was released, nobody knew it bent before, I guess, except Apple's team. But afterwards, when this phone started making rounds and tons of videos were being made and everything about how this phone bent, it really made this phone such a hated device. And people were wondering why. How can this device that's worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars bend so easily and, cause so many problems? And then Apple addressed it, and all those, rumors became proven true and all that other crazy stuff. And really, I don't think the iPhone 6 Plus has recovered since then. I just think people kind of overlook it. They put cases on it. When I go on eBay, there's still so many panels that have touch disease and everything. I actually did buy an iPhone 6 Plus that I do plan on fixing. It does have a little bit of a cracked screen and a touch disease, but a simple swap out of the screen will fix that. But I just can't believe how bad of a life and how bad of a run this phone had, and it is really sad. I don't think this is the worst iPhone ever made, because if you think about it, this design was transferred over many different iPhones after, even up until September of last year with the iPhone 8 Plus. So I don't think it was the worst iPhone ever made, because it did bring something to the table, but I do think that it lived its worst life, which is super sad. I really wanted more out of a phone like this, but what more do you expect? I don't think Apple is ever going to make another mistake like this, but if they do, they're going to lose a lot of that $1 trillion that they have. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I mean, obviously you guys can have a different opinion if you want to, but I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much. But definitely hit that subscribe button. We're still doing an iPhone 6s and an iPhone SE giveaway on this channel. If you're interested, or if you're in need of a new iPhone or a used iPhone, but you guys get an iPhone 6s or an iPhone SE, all you have to do to enter is subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Both those links are down in the description, so make sure you guys enter that. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.